So it turns out the only way to beat Alex Palou is literally an act of God. Welcome back to Motorsport 101. And being a very fast ginger on an oval. Who knew? Welcome to episode 611 of Motorsport 101. I'm your friendly neighborhood host, Stray Harrison. Glad you could join us once again. And it's a good weekend to be ginger. I haven't said that very often on the shows over the years, but this happened as we talk about IndyCar's Milwaukee Mile on this episode, the penultimate round of the 2025 IndyCar season. I would say all to play for, but I'd be lying to you if that was the case. It just wasn't. But we did get an entertaining ending to an iconic race for IndyCar and a brand new first-time winner. Congratulations, Christian Rasmussen. Wow. What a finish, what a race, what a performance. And there's a lot to talk about from that. So we'll go around the horn on this one real quick. First of all, RJ O'Connell, how's it going, mate?
Dre, you mean to tell me that even with the championship already decided, Alex Palou still went out and dominated the race, but lost out to a first-time winner in what was a compelling race that had everybody talking regardless of the championship outcome?
Yeah.
Why, that's just impossible! That's unfathomable, even!
And the TV ratings boost on last year's race. Who'd have thought?
Look, it should have been, like, I know the bit is like, oh, it's the same 700 to 800,000 people that watch this in North America. I get it, that's a discussion for another time. But shouldn't it have been just a third of that? With no championship to decide at the very end? That's just preposterous. This can't be.
It is funny that I love that, having watched IndyCar now for, 10, 11 years, the Americans are so very predictable in how this sport is covered that the moment the championship is over, that everyone just stops watching and goes to watch hockey or sail GP instead. That no, turns out the same hardcore 800,000 people that watch IndyCar every week watched IndyCar every week. Startling, I know.
Yeah.
For my next demonstration, here's how gravity works. Also joining me, who actually was at the Milwaukee Mile himself, is Mr. Cameron Buckley. Hello, sir.
Yes, they were missing a viewer on TV because I was viewing in person, along with a whole lot of other people, because unlike last year, this was a sellout.
Yeah. General admission sold out on Sunday, which is great to hear.
Yeah, and it felt like it. It was difficult to get up to the stands in time for the race because there were so many people.
Yeah.
I do love that in Milwaukee, the main food groups are beer, cheese, and beer cheese, which is my kind of place.
Sounds good to me.
Oh,
that sounds like a future triple bypass surgery just waiting to happen. I do not know how the Midwesterners do it up there.
Shit, neither do I. I feel like I'm moving in slow motion, and I've been back home for 2 days.
It's like people hydrate with one of those 96 ounce drinking jugs, but there's no water in it. It's just Spotted Cow beer.
You know, better than Miller Lite, which is what half the beer was there. But also, he signed my hat.
Oh,
yes.
You lucky bitch.
You lucky bastard. How was Alex over there? Were you like old friends again, reunited after a year away?
Only slightly. He did compliment my shirt, which was the 2024 shirt, but he mainly had places to be, mainly putting his foot up everyone's ass for 199 laps.
More or less.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it, but safe to say, Happy learned how to putt. But I'll tell you, Happy always knew how to putt. But I do want to ask, because you also went here last year, and you mentioned that unlike last year, it was a sellout. So, experience-wise, from the fans' perspective, you and longtime supporter of the show, Tony Smith, have been there. How was this better than last year, and what, if anything, still needs improvement?
I will say a lot more vendor stuff going on in the actual fairgrounds, and it was decent last year, but we had a full brand tent with Firestone, we had a little bit of a bigger set of merch to pull from. Although it was funny to see the line of small die-casts. Well, if you wanted an Alex Palou small die-cast, you couldn't get one. But if you wanted a Pato Award one, they had a full row.
Oh,
and if they wanted a Graham Rahal one, there was a full row.
Oh.
Do they still have the David Malukas McLaren die-cast? Oh,
I didn't see it there. I didn't see the Devlin DiFrancesco Woo car there for discount, which I did.
That's Ryan King's secret hater gift. Wait, that means it's not a secret hater gift. Shit.
I thought about buying it for him last year. However, did I want to spend $60 ironically?
No,
because you're going to spend
really.
$60 on a diecast that Ryan Eric King hates. You would just buy a Mike Hawthorne car.
Those, unfortunately, because it's a Ferrari that he won in, it would be a lot more money.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. I would also say, like, legitimately, there were more people there, it feels like, for qualifying this year than there were for the races last year.
That's really impressive because obviously, like, it's qualifying. It's the middle of a summer afternoon in bleachers with no shade. And
believe me, I know. My ears are peeling. My nose is peeling. I did not have a good day after the fact.
Yeah.
One cool thing, and this carried over from last year, and they did it again this year. The way they did the tickets was really cool in that, obviously, Garage Pass, you go into the garage, you get your wristband, everything. For the actual tickets to get up into the stands, they would only actually vet those once you went to go take your seat.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to just go hang out in the fairgrounds, you could.
It's neat, that.
Yeah, I don't mind that. This is not an event that needed to turn people away after last year, and I'm glad that it's drawing people back in.
It was a nice time. I also got to, much like the drivers on the podium, eat one of those gigantic Wisconsin cream puffs. Half of it ended up on the ground, but the half that I actually got to eat was delicious.
And we're just not beating the allegations that all Wisconsiners eat is like dairy 50% of the time.
No, you're wrong, because I ate dairy 80% of the time when I was there.
Oy, sounds delicious. No, like, you see, in other words, you're telling me you had a cream puff so big it looked like you were in the middle of a shave.
Yes, precisely that.
Sounds good. I mean, given that, last year was a bit sketchy, it was a bit like last year's race was a bit of a battleground for, conversation about how the series promotes itself with Pato, Mexico, the lack of local promotion. Pato who? Except some guy in a sombrero, oversized and orange. But
vice champion Pato Award.
Yep, confirmed, second place. You got your ass beat slightly less than everyone else this year. But what I will say, much better turnout for the race this year. They actually opened up extra tickets the night before and still sold them out.
Yeah.
However, one of the first places we did go to eat, the person who was waiting on us had no fucking idea that there was a race going on.
Yeah.
And that is the second year in a row.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, driving back from Road Atlanta for IMSA, I did actually get to see billboards for the event as you were driving into town, which seems like, did they have any of those last year?
For the Milwaukee race this year, I will tell you I did see one billboard, and it was aimed the wrong way if you were going towards the track.
That's crazy, because I saw two on my way down, and that was like weeks before.
At least in Milwaukee itself. But, yeah, fan experience, very nice. Got to hang out with Krista Hardy, which took years off my life, and supporter of the show, Tony Smith, which took further years off my life. Not as many as those two playing Mario Party with one another, though.
Oh, I've heard some things that will not be repeated on this podcast about that.
Yeah, remember, it doesn't need to get out into the greater internet.
It is not politics that divides our society. It is, in fact, Mario Party and the stakes involved. But Cam, I want to ask you this. As a fan, do you feel good about the long-term future of racing, about the oldest oval in North America? Because we were without this place for a while. This place almost got torn down. And after 1 year, we were just like, okay, we wanted it back. Now people have to be about it and actually turn up.
the people who were there were about it. And that is the best possible thing I can say about it. In terms of actual fan attendance, this year felt great. It felt better than last year on qualifying day.
Yeah.
On practice day. Race day feels like it was a success.
Yeah.
I hope it sticks around. The other thing is, I actually thought the race itself, other than the fight at the front, was more of a race this year with better conditions that they could run in. It wasn't simply a case of, like what we see with Iowa, run the tires for 10 laps and then settle in because you ain't passing anybody. You could actually make moves here this year. Unless for most of the race it was on a red and yellow DHL car in which he was putting the moves on you.
Should we transition into that real quick? I think that'd be a wise idea. Places you can find us real quick. We're on youtube.com/motorsport101. We're on facebook.com/motorsport101. We're on Twitter at motorsport_101. We're on Instagram at motorsport101pod. We're on Blue Sky at Dre Harrison, C Buckley917, and RJ O'Connell at bsky.social. You can check out our website, motorsport101.com, to hear written reviews of this race and MotoGP's return to Balaton for the first time in 33 years. Oh God, I'm 33 years old now. That's terrifying. You can also back us financially on Patreon, patreon.com/motorsport101. $5 gets you early access to all of our content. You can upgrade to the $10 tier to listen to these episodes live as they are being recorded. Thank you very much for the continued support. Without further ado, let's get into the Milwaukee Mile.
How do you say it's not ginger, Dre?
Ginger!
Absolutely, man. Look, it was, other than what Cam just laid out, it was somewhat a tame Milwaukee Mile 250 this time out. It was largely dominated by one man until the very end of the race. You don't need us to tell you who that is. It's Alex Palou. He took his sixth pole of the season by a ridiculous margin of 3/4 of a mile per hour. ... Get your jokes in. Americas will measure anything except the metric system, etc., etc. He led the opening stint from David Malukas. Palou got back in front traffic. He then led 199 out of the 230 laps. He was cutting through traffic like a hot knife through Wisconsin cheese. He was making time on all of his rivals. And on most days, that's good enough to win. It's Alex Palou. But then divine intervention happened. With 30 laps to go, we had a brief rain shower, which led to a caution because any car...
Calling it a rain shower is very, very generous.
Yeah. But generally speaking, cars on oval tracks do not run in the rain. And everyone but the top three pitted for new tires. And I understand, you keep the track position, but the two McLarens were still in the race, pitted for new tires, and the two ECR cars pitted for new tires. And that called forth Christian Rasmussen, who from 7th muscled his way through the field on tires 17 laps fresher than Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, and Alex Palou. He cut down Palou's 2-second lead and then went around him to take his first ever IndyCar Series win. And ECR's first win in the series since, and I can't believe this, the 2021 Indianapolis Grand Prix with Rinus VeeKay.
Oh, that one. Yeah. See, I thought it was Iowa 2016. I forgot about Rinus VeeKay's Indy Road Course win. Yeah,
we all forgot about Rinus VeeKay. He was supposed to be one of the big four. Ugh. But, I mean, I know you got some things to think about this finish, but what I got to think about is, remember how Christian Rasmussen was only a road and street course specialist last year, even though we knew back in Indy Nets that he was a very good oval driver and had that acumen in him? This was in the locker the whole time.
If there's one thing that stood out about Christian Rasmussen when he was in Indy, lights as it was at the time, was that he was so fast on ovals. He was a faster oval driver than he was a road and street course driver. And that hasn't really changed. Now he's in his mid-20s and has now done a couple of seasons in IndyCar alongside the cup of coffee. I'm kind of in two minds about this one, and the reason why I'm in kind of two minds about it is because a part of me feels bad for Alex, in the sense of, I felt bad for Joseph in Iowa in the same way. We all agreed. In Iowa, Joseph Newgarden was the class of the field and probably should have won both races. He certainly had the speed to do it. Race 1, definitely, and he was hosed on a strategy call. Race 2, the cautions just came at the complete wrong time for him. Alex Palou destroyed the field this weekend. Let me make one thing abundantly clear. That might have been the most dominant weekend Alex Palou has had in IndyCar, and that is saying something given some of the races he has won this season.
Given he's got multiple Beat Him Down of the Year award contenders this season.
Three-quarters of a mile an hour on the field on a short oval is obscene, leading 199 laps. And the thing is, well, when you watch that race, Palou was so good handling traffic. He was actually able to pass cars under traffic and continually give himself cars for the his opposition to deal with. Like Scott McLaughlin and David Malukas were the main front runners for the majority of this race. McLaughlin could not handle the traffic like Palou could. Every time McLaughlin tried an undercut attempt, there would always be at least one car between Palou and McLaughlin, and then Palou would overtake a back marker quickly, get a car width in between, then he was able to just start pounding lap time from there, where he was, at times, 2 or 3 tenths a second a lap quicker than McLaughlin, Malukas, Newgarden, etc. behind him.
At one stage, he was 9 seconds clear of the field.
Yeah.
Via working the traffic, and the shock for me was like, going into this weekend, I'm like, it's going to be classic Penske at the front. Joseph Newgarden's going to beat boots to ass and then somehow not win. Palou demolished Penske on a short oval. That doesn't happen.
I joked when he qualified on pole, he's got short ovals down, he's got short ovals down, he's got short ovals down. There is no God.
He won Gateway, though.
He did, but he was probably 3rd or 4th fastest all weekend in Gateway. Here, he was fastest from the time they unloaded, really all the way through, which we'll open up on in a moment.
Yeah.
Like, Palou's always been solid on ovals.
Yeah,
and the 500 is its own thing. This was a complete demolition of the sport. Also, Dre, there is a God. Have you been watching MotoGP this year?
That damn Spaniard, etc. It's a corporation.
It applies on both series.
Yeah.
Yep, no kidding. No, this was an unholy clobbering by Alex Palou, and I feel kind of bad he didn't win this one because he was so dominant. He deserved the win, and then, of all things, the one thing that could have disrupted him was a awkwardly timed caution, and it was a precise awkwardly timed caution because, and this isn't just from Cam, there were multiple people that were blue skying me and then tweeted me saying that it was like a 3-minute sprinkle at worst.
I think Tony and I averaged it out to, we felt about maybe 9 to 10 raindrops.
You were texting me you felt a little bit more than a drizzle.
It went a little bit. It was a sprinkle, and then there was actual rain, maybe 3 or 4 drops. Okay. And then about 2 laps after that happens, then they throw the caution.
Yeah, they threw a caution for track conditions, and we got, I think it was 13 or 12 or 13 laps under yellow to make sure they hadn't lost the track and to get another round of sweeping underway. Look, I know people have drawn a bit of conspiracy theory madness to this. Listen, I've given Kyle Novak shit for far more blatant reasons than this one. I would much rather see a caution come out too early than one too late.
Yeah.
Well, this one effectively was too late. Because if they had thrown it a couple laps earlier, I would have fully understood it.
Yeah, it's a weird one because Novak was still kind of late, but it was still... Like, by the time the yellow would come out, I was told it had already basically stopped raining. And they hadn't lost it.
The one cloud, it was one big-ass gray cloud that had basically been pushed off to the right side of the track by that point.
Yeah, and, we had a 12-lap caution for conditions. They made sure the track was obviously dry. They sweeped up the marbles off the racing line so the high line was at least semi-viable. And RJ undersold it. 3/4 of the field came in for tyres at that point, and as we alluded to, by the time we got going again, there was 30 to go, and the people that had come in had 17-lap fresher tyres compared to the top three that didn't come in, and that was McLaughlin, Newgarden, and Palou.
Yeah.
And to give Rasmussen his due, he was the only one on these new sets of tyres that made this work.
Yeah, because on that restart, Alexander Rossi is like 3 places ahead of him. You think, right, Rossi's got this in the bag. Rasmussen runs down his teammate and gets past him.
Yeah.
And you know how he did it? Rasmussen got up on the wheel and goosed those fucking tires. Because by the end of that race, he had no time. Like, his tires were equalizing with Palou. So hard did he drive that car.
And not only that, he was the only runner at that point in the race that had the balls to regularly take the high line. He had been pounding that high line all day. And you watch his onboard, you probably would have had a resting heart rate of 190 because he was fighting that motherfucker.
It was the Moncasteer emote.
It was the Moncasteer emote repeatedly because he had lost the front so many times you could lose count. But like Marc Marquez, he had this brilliant ability to be able to save the front, not spin out, and still not lose time. It was ridiculous what he was doing. The onboard was heart attack inducing. Like, there's a moment with 10 to go where he's already beaten Palou in the race. You think the race is over. He's trying to go around the outside of Louis Foster and put a lap on him, and he very nearly puts it in the wall.
Almost got run into the wall. If he was an inch higher, he gets in the marbles, and he gets the Will Power treatment.
Yeah,
I'm watching the last few laps right now. There's a bit where he almost gets pinched in the wall, not deliberately, but it almost happens with Joseph Newgarden. He makes that work somehow. He then proceeds to go on and eat Scott McLaughlin's lunch money.
I will say, Joseph Newgarden on that final stint did everything in his power to crash that car, but couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, he tried. And he openly admitted after the race he made the wrong call by not changing tyres, and it cost him, which is the story of Newgarden's season, really, more than anything else.
Hey, by the way, did you know that one of the 2 Bussettses are guaranteed to have a winless season? And it might even be both of them.
Yeah. At least either Joseph Newgarden or Scott McLaughlin will go winless on a season.
Which is wild. I mean, look.
It's Scott who won this race last year, let's not forget. That was his last win.
It is wild, though. I mean, look, I'm going to be real with you. I don't like the way Rasmussen drives that car. I don't think that's a sustainable way of running on ovals. However...
It is if you got 30 laps left and fresh tires.
I can't deny it wasn't effective. Fair play to the man. He made it work. He was the only man that was prepared to gamble on that level to make it work, and fortune favoured the brave on this one. And look, I'll give Rasmussen this. This is not a fluke. He has been the 3rd best driver on ovals this season. He's one of only 3 men to have finished top 10 on every oval race we've had this season. The other 2, quite arguably the best oval driver in the world, Pato O'Ward, and the other one is the guy who was good at ovals who suddenly became great at them this year in Alex Palou. Rasmussen's average finish on ovals this season is 4.8. That is championship level. No matter which way you slice it, he's been phenomenal on ovals this season, which is amazing when, as RJ alluded to, this guy was Ed Carpenter's road course ringer last year.
Yeah,
he had him in the wrong role. He had him in the wrong role. He's been, again, the way he drives is up for question at times. Remember when we were calling for a potential double race ban a week ago, and he was one of the two drivers?
What a glow up, though. It's not us, because we would not stoop to this level. But when people are photoshopping Christian Rasmussen's face over the body of Xfinity Series driver Austin Hill, that tells
there aren't
you
enough. I'll have you know, there aren't enough cars in IndyCar to get to the body count that Austin Hill has racked up in the last month.
On a level, Rasmussen is many things. He's not a field wrecker. He
absolutely.
He had a bad time.
He contains the destruction.
He had a bad time at Portland, but that was an outlier, really. Like, I did not like some of the narratives that Townsend Bell, and to a degree, James Hinchcliffe was saying that this guy's been a dirty or an aggressive driver this year. Not really. Like, okay,
aggressive, yes. He races hard, but I wouldn't term it anything beyond he's a very hard-nosed racer wheel to wheel.
And you know what? I'm not a fan of off track because of Alex Rossi. Alex Rossi dropped a humdinger on his podcast last week where he said, "Yeah, he does that, but we celebrate Santino Ferrucci for it." So,
we used to celebrate Alex Rossi about it. We used to celebrate Joseph Newgarden about it. Whether you like hard racing in IndyCar seems to be entirely dependent on who's getting race hard, your favorite or your enemy.
Very much so. And again, look, like I said, this is no fluke. Rasmussen's been this good on ovals this year. He's been in contention for wins. He could have won in Gateway earlier this year. He was right there with the leading two as they were coming over the line. If that race is 10 laps longer, who knows? I do find it kind of wild. Christian Rasmussen won an oval race before David Malukas did, which is just kind of wild given their trajectories in their careers, and now Malukas has been an oval contender for like 3 years already.
But you know what's the crazy thing? First. You know what's the crazy thing about all this? I remember wrapping up last season. We know Alexander Rossi, right, is going to join ECR, which means either Christian Rasmussen or Rinus VeeKay is going to get pushed out. And ultimately is Rinus. And we were talking about, like, did the wrong guy get pushed out? And I made a case that, like, I've seen enough from Rasmussen that I could understand why ECR kept him. Even if he didn't at the time. And ultimately, he has his first win. I remember when we were thinking, like, man, is Christian Rasmussen just doomed to be an LMP2 specialist who happens to drive an Indy car?
And, no. It's turned out quite a bit better than that.
And Christian Rasmussen has a Rolex.
Yeah.
He does. I'll also say I like how there was divine intervention to stop Alex Palou, and Alex still fought it for about 2.5 laps.
Yeah, he tried.
Completely. He did his best. Also, hardest picture of the year just dropped.
Oh yeah.
For those who cannot see this, because we are only partially a visual medium, it is Alex posing not only with his Astor Cup, but also the Borg Warner Trophy.
In the streets of New York, I believe that was. Yeah, quite crazy. Yeah, like, good news, AJ Foyt and Al Unser. You can have that beer like the Miami Dolphins do every year when the last undefeated team in the NFL falls. Your win record is safe.
My steak was only tremendously juicy. My lobster was only excessively buttery.
Oh no, Alex Palou's average finish is only 4.1 this year. What a goddamn shame.
Dogs living together, mass hysteria.
He's only had the best season since unification. What a shame.
Yeah, in the words of Denzel, that brother's starving. Like, because he's got second and he got 44 points because he got every bonus point available this weekend, so he almost got a race win's worth of points anyway. He's on 670. All he has to do is show up in Nashville and he breaks the all-time points record.
Which Scott Dixon achieved with 2 double points rounds on the calendar.
Double point 500, double point decider in Sonoma.
It's the best.
We don't need double points.
It's so good. And I'm sorry to interject this. It's so good that people were spinning up Alex Palou to Red Bull rumors like he needs it.
Yeah, which ended up being
his agent.
It's his agent who, like,
he can't help himself.
How much management does this dude need?
Apparently a lot. Like, Alex Palou might be the greatest race car driver on earth, but apparently he has the managerial nous of a lost puppy. Like, it's...
Yeah, because both he and Ganassi then immediately put an end to it. It's like, hey, they haven't talked. I'm sure Red Bull would be thrilled to have another body to throw into the machine. Meanwhile, they're in decline. The engine's going to be a boat anchor next year. Max Verstappen is the number 1.
One more lane will fix it. One more second driver will fix it. I promise you, bro.
One more second driver is not going to fix it.
Yeah, let's put it this way. If Palou has a top 5 finish in Nashville, which is very plausible if his short oval form's anything to go by this year, a top 5 finish would get him past 700 points. That's never been done.
Not in this
with no double points.
With no double point race and only limited points for qualifying for the 500.
And a DNF, which was not his fault in Detroit.
Yeah, when he was running top 5. He was running 5th when Malukas hit him.
It maybe turns into a podium when it actually shakes out. This is some
obscene.
Bullshit.
It's obscene.
Even when he loses, he can't stop winning.
Ridiculous. Alex Palou was in second on the day. Third was Scott McLaughlin. It's weird to say that this was McLaughlin's first podium since Barber on Star Wars Day. May the 4th. That was the last time Scott McLaughlin touched the podium.
It's not gone great since he traveled to Indiana.
He was the clear second best guy in Milwaukee this weekend, not named Christian Rasmussen. Like, it was a great drive from McLaughlin, but my God, like that, it's alarming that he went 13 races without a podium finish. Says everything about the state of Penske.
It's not what you expect after 2023 or 2024.
More concerning that Joseph Newgarden was next man down, and he at no stage looked like he was in the fight for the win at this race. I can't... Look, it has been a shit year for Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah.
It has been black cats and ladders and cracks nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
But at least on the ovals, he ain't ever been slow.
No, he had top 3 pace this race. Ends up 7th because of that bad strategy call at the end. Newgarden is 16th in points, man. It just makes me sad looking at that on the table. He's going to be
so thirsty for that home win this weekend.
Oh, boy. Oh, Lord.
Either way. God, imagine if it's the bus
They're going to pull the beast out of the Indy Museum and plug it into the back of his car.
Oh.
They're gonna resurrect that saber-toothed tiger that they dug up under the Preds arena. They're gonna resurrect that cat to make this happen.
Last time I saw a saber-toothed tiger dug up, it was to form a Megazord.
Yeah, Doc, could you imagine if it's McLaughlin versus Newgarden for the win in Nashville? Oh,
there will be beef. There will be beef between those two. And in the end,
Alex Palou will win as a makeup for this bullshit.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting. State of ECR going forward.
It's a weird one because, you know what's funny? Even with, like, is it just me or, like, and this is a bit of this is like a season review preview in a sense. Alex Rossi has basically dug himself out of a bit of a hole with the last 2 weekends because he's had back-to-back top 5s at Portland and Milwaukee.
Yeah,
he was 18th in points until this weekend. He's now 14th after his pair of top 5s. Christian Rasmussen is now sitting 12th in points with that win on 308. He has an outside chance of cracking the top 10 depending on how Nashville goes, and given his overform, that's actually quite plausible. Is it just me, or do I find it that a team that raised $40 million in funding by selling half its charter to Splendid Addy, am I the only one that was hoping for a bit more out of that team this year?
I wonder if you're going to see more of that next year, because it's not investment like that doesn't always hit right away in terms of results.
This is a marked improvement over sometimes I've seen ECR, which just look completely moribund.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the 500 was whatever for the most part for them this year, and that's usually their bread and butter. I will say it feels like they have been markedly better the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And so I think you're going to see that kind of build up, hopefully, into next year for them, because there's no reason why that combination with what this team is usually good at can't make a really big play for a 500 next year. We know how good Rossi is there, and we know how good Rasmussen is on ovals in general.
Yeah. Rossi came here to win his second 500, I feel.
You were very strong on that point this time last year when you said you felt like the best thing for Rossi at this point was to go ring chasing because an Astor Cup probably wasn't going to happen again for him. And you've been proven right, really. Rossi's slipped compared to... Even last year at McLaren, he was still a top 10 guy on points. He's dropped to 14th, and that's really kind of flattering, really, given the last 2 weekends have bumped him up a bit. So maybe just thinking, hey, my best shot at a second 500 is with ECR, which is more than fair given how well they've been at the 500 in recent years. That might just be the play, but it's certainly a bit of a rough one for Rossi this year. It's not been a great season for him. Rasmussen, I think his season's been saved by his oval form because his road and street form is just not there this year. He doesn't have a top 10 on a road or street course this season, which is unfortunate. But, you know, the ovals can sometimes save you. Look at Connor Daly, walking example of that over the last few years of his career.
Job. Saved Juncos Hollinger Racing's second charter.
Yeah, and, we'll see if they keep him for next year. More on that when we get to season review season very soon. Probably in a couple of weeks' time on the M101 network and all that. And the website as well, motorsport101.com. Is it just me or I put this bullet point in our script notes for this. Am I the only one that's starting to really run out of patience with Fox?
Oh! I thought we were going to talk about. I thought you were going to talk about you know who doing you know what next weekend, and I've got to say, I am hoping that there are some very unhinged and vengeful New York Knicks fans who will come to Nashville Super Speedway and just take in the sights and sounds, man. And I'm not out here advocating for like mechanical sabotage or anything like that, but it would be funny if somebody tried.
It would. I'm not going to lie to you. Man, I was the first person on this show to really start questioning what exactly Fox was adding to the table here when it came to their production of IndyCar. This race was bad.
Can I just say, I was questioning them before they even signed the contract. Signed a NASCAR fan.
Like,
because you wouldn't think that like a series that they're literally invested in would get the same sort of second-rate treatment that they give NASCAR.
Well, they only just actually invested in them. And their first move is to bring David fucking Portnoy on board.
The pizza reviewer who doesn't even like interact with sports.
I hope he drowns in a deep dish. I can throw a coin in and make a wish, and I can wish for some real fucking pizza.
That's
Shout out
fucking
John Stewart.
Right. That's fucking right, man. Ugh,
yeah.
him.
No, the broadcast, it's been glitchy at best. It's been unwatchable at worst. The Thermal Club race this year, probably for its own betterment, is lost media. And somehow that doesn't really compare to just how amateurish and messy it was this weekend.
You're going to have to name specifics. Again, I was out of office for a lot of this.
I'll cover this one for them as well, because I was the only one who watched it live on TV out of the three of us. There were multiple occasions where Buxton is trying to call it as the play-by-play man that he is, and the TV direction is focused on something else. entirely. It happened during the final round of pit stops when Palou and McLaughlin are battling on pit roads. Obviously, who can come out first. That's obviously a key moment in the race. Who gets track position around with 50 to go. And the TV crew, and like that's where the TV cameras are pointing, and Buxton's talking about Joseph Newgarden. And we can't see what's going on out of his pit box. This happened multiple times in the race, where Buxton is trying to steer the broadcast one way, and the TV production truck is going another way with it. There's clear miscommunication between those two entities, and it was very disjointed, and it made it genuinely difficult to watch at times, because I'm like, what the fuck is Buxton talking about? And then you realise it's not actually Buxton's fault. He's probably watching off his monitor in the box while we're being shown something completely different in real time on the TV. Look, it's already enough of a struggle as an international fan of this series because Sky Sports barely gives a shit about IndyCar. And I'm sorry, Tom Gaymore is just bad at this when it comes to filling for time in between those commercial breaks on the international broadcast,
especially solo. If he's got somebody to play off of, like, it's better, but not solo.
No, he's been fine in the 500 ones where you get guests in like Mark, like they've got Mark Blundell in the past. They've had Simone Di Silvestro be there, and they can help out and fill in a lot of those blanks. But when it's him flying solo covering an international broadcast, it's bad, and that's bad enough as it is, and I'm not a fan of it. But this has been a consistent problem with Fox all season. Disjointed broadcasts, bad TV direction, timing tower glitches, regression in features compared to last year. We still don't have fully working GPS in qualifying sessions. We still have glitches where the tower freezes for minutes at a time and we don't know what's going on. It just feels second rate. And we've watched a lot of motorsport series in our spare time, whether it be Formula 1, MotoGP, whatever. Like, IndyCar has right now the weakest production of any major motorsport series out there, without question. It's
the
bad.
Kind of shit that I expect out of Flow TV, not Fox.
You get what you pay for with Flow TV. I'm not expecting a world-class broadcast if you're tuning into that kind of content.
Oh, and you are paying a lot if you are watching on Flow. You are paying an excessive amount.
Yeah. And Fox is just... they've been phoning it in for a long fucking time with NASCAR. And this year, Amazon comes out and puts everyone to shame overnight with their Prime broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
This is a brand new contract and a series you just invested in. It can be done. They're just choosing not to. They're phoning it in.
It really shouldn't be like this next year in the series that you are invested to a 1/3 stake in. That's all I say. Hey,
you've put $135 million into this sport. Hello?
By the way, is it a bad time to mention that there is a potential carriage dispute between Fox and YouTube TV that could potentially kick in this weekend?
Yeah.
That's all right. There was a report that just came out about next year's schedule for IndyCar.
Oh,
yeah, we'll have to drop that in here in a short bit. Also, breaking news, it looks like we do have a short-term deal between Fox and YouTube TV. Crisis averted. Thank goodness. If you have YouTube TV...
It was like a 15-second long crisis on this show. Damn.
You can still watch the Nashville finale on YouTube TV the old-fashioned way. Before we get to the new schedule, Dennis Hauger, he had to work for it. A lot more than some people would have said, but he did win the Indy NXT title.
Good for him. Honestly, 6 wins this season. He has been the dominant driver in Indy NXT this year. I'm a little bit in two minds about it because I'm not going to pretend like this was a hugely strong field. The main threat that he had for most of the season was another rookie in Lockie Hughes, who was really solid this year, as a matter of fact.
Hey, man, Kyle Collette was turning on the Jets late. I thought that dude was going to be the top challenger to the title all season. I was eventually proven right.
Yeah, he ended up, he's looking like he's going to get second overall, second-year guy, so, a bit of an advantage compared to Hauger, who was learning all this on the fly. But the talent of Dennis Hauger was never the problem. Yeah. Like, when he won the Formula 3 title over in Europe, he'd already proven that the guy can wheel a car. He won 5 races in F2. This was not a scrub by any stretch. I just think he was in the wrong environment, and I'm glad he's gone over to America and won well. The only issue I've got now is where the hell does he fit on next year's grid?
Oh gosh, I'm ashamed that there was a rumor from somewhere that proved like completely bogus, because I actually would have liked to see what he could do at Juncos Hauger. I think that would be a good fit. I think everything in silly season is hinging on the willpower domino. Whether he stays, whether he goes, where does he go? Nobody knows.
And the problem is Will Power can't talk to anybody until the day after the season ends on September 1st. So everyone's just going to have to wait, because obviously if Power suddenly hits the open market, people are going to make offers.
People are going to make vacancies at seats that suddenly aren't there before.
Yeah, the big rumor going into the weekend was RNL and Graham Rahal had to go public and basically say, no, we think our lineup's going to be the same for next year. So that immediately poured cold water on that one. We don't know how this is going to play out. I do think, ironically, as RJ says, I think Jenkos would probably be the best fit for him. But can Connor Daly raise the money to keep his seat? Because we all know with Daly, it's always been a funding problem with him. He will fight and scratch and claw for every sponsor that man can get to keep himself in floats. The funny money left him in the lurch earlier this year. So who knows if he's got the funding to give it another season. We know Stingray Robb will pay for his seat on the other Juncos. I think that's the best fit for Hauger. And I think if they could, Andretti could probably flip that bill to get Hauger in. But how badly do they want Hauger in that car? Because me personally, I look at the situation at Andretti and I go, what are you paying Marcus Ericsson for right now?
To exist. It's not been
great. What was supposed to be the plan? You were supposed to get paid to rate. I'm giving away too much of the game of the season review show.
I'll say
Andretti
should bring some of those oval engineers from Indy NXT up to the big team, because they just blew the field the fuck away in race trim here. And then I didn't even mention it, Colton Herta spun in qualifying and had save of the weekend for precisely a few hours before someone went drifting at 130R.
Yeah, no kidding. Good news as well that dropped yesterday. We're getting an IndyCar video game.
For real this time. We're actually getting it. It's coming out in 2026 from iRacing Studios. It's going to happen. Can I just say how much of a glow-up it is? Because think about it. It was only 2 years ago that, because of the Motorsports Games deal that fell through, there was no official IndyCar involvement in iRacing.com for a full year.
Yeah, if you wanted labeled IndyCars, you had to drive old ones in Project Cars 2.
You had to go and wait for the Motorsport Games project that completely fell through because that company was on the verge of collapse. And by the way, remarkably, they're not dead, and they're still just hanging in there. Yeah, they had to cut back of a lot of really stupid expenditures. They're still thriving. It's crazy. Well, I wouldn't say thriving, but they're still living. But I know
they're not bankrupt.
Yeah, they're not bankrupt, which is better than what we could say about them 2 years ago. And we're getting an IndyCar license, standalone title for the first time in 22 years.
The ground will run thick with Krista Hardy's blood. I'm getting his ass.
I'm happy for it. I'm glad we're getting an IndyCar game. I do worry that this is so niche. How many people are going to spend $80 for a console IndyCar game? That's my only worry. Because, it's IndyCar is a niche within a niche within a niche. And this is
good news for them.
What's
they
that?
don't have to do a whole lot because iRacing already has all of this stuff in iRacing. Yeah. A lot of this seems to be effectively repackaging it into a console game, much as they have with the NASCAR game. Because they also have the NASCAR license and are doing that game. And please be good. 20 years I've been waiting.
I have faith that the NASCAR game will be good. I'm not saying it's going to be like a Game of the Year contender, but what I am saying is it's going to be better than what we've had in the past. And I also appreciate that iRacing Studios just like, you know what? We'll be the AA racing game developer you've been missing. You happy?
Yeah. And we've been missing that hard. And again, they don't have to do a whole lot.
No.
I just hope it is good and makes its money back.
Yeah.
Get a full roster, get the full calendar, maybe a couple of bonus tracks if you're feeling spicy, throw in some vintage cars if you like to pad out the field a little, pad out the game a little bit.
Just break into a museum and model a 2000 Penske Reynard. Just do it.
Sure.
Just do it.
Now, there's also been a bit of a break-in story that's come through from Nathan Brown at the Indianapolis Star in the time it's taken for us to record this about 40 minutes ago. The IndyCar 2026 schedule, while not official yet, there's now been a big story that's dropped. Yeah. IndyCar's returning to Phoenix.
Ooh. Ugh. Now, I love me some heritage short ovals. I do. We just spent a whole episode talking about one. I know the racing at Phoenix wasn't all that last time.
It was shit.
It was... The words to describe how ass it was do not exist in common parlance.
But I'm willing to give it another try. And also, for all the people that are pissing and moaning about no races at the front half of the schedule, 4 March races in 5 weeks?
Yeah, they heard you. That quiet block to start the IndyCar season is dead. There are 4 races scheduled for the 5 weekends in March next year. St. Pete is expected to obviously still be the opener. They've already started selling tickets for that weekend. That's going to be March 1st. Phoenix is going to be projected to be round 2, March 7th or 8th, in collaboration with NASCAR. They're going to be sharing the weekend with NASCAR over in Phoenix as well. The logistics on that still are yet to be seen, but it's looking like they're going to share that weekend with NASCAR. The Grand Prix of Arlington, we've known, is going to be March 15th. And then Barber will have its earliest run-in since joining the calendar. It's looking like we're going to get Barber on March 29th next year. So
Sebring Clash will not happen, and we'll still get 4 races in 1 month to start the season.
Yep, so they're going to have a 3-week break at the end of March instead. So it's looking like it's going to be those 4, and then Long Beach on April 19th, and then an extra week off before the Indianapolis road course race on May 9th, and then obviously the week leading up to the Indy 500 on May 24th this year. And then after that, just tradition, Detroit will follow that up, and then it will likely be Gateway the week after that. There's still talks about Mexico potentially joining the calendar. It's looking like it could be July 26th for the slot for Mexico, and that's going to be apparently a week straight after Laguna Seca. So that is apparently the plan, tentatively as it stands, with looking like Milwaukee Mile and then Nashville last 2 rounds, August 30th and September 6th.
Yeah.
It's not official, but the calendar is looking like it's going to take some shape real soon.
Yeah, which is
I'm
good.
Glad they filled in the big-ass gap in this first half of the season.
Yes. This makes a lot more sense.
We couldn't have gone anywhere. Look, we couldn't have gone anywhere but Phoenix.
Phoenix was an open wheel circuit before it was a NASCAR track. Decades before it was a NASCAR track.
asked for both since it's been reconfigured. It was a terrible NASCAR round after it was reconfigured, and it was a terrible IndyCar round last time we were here.
I'm willing to give it another chance. I'm also curious to see what happens with Indy Toronto, because it's looking like there will be an Indy Toronto, but where in Toronto? Will it still be an exhibition place because of the World Cup, or will they have to move it elsewhere in the city?
Just go to Montreal. Yeah, do the F1
That's
track.
Not Toronto.
Don't care. I'm making it better. Just go to Montreal.
Someone on this podcast is about to get shot.
We are going to get.
It ain't gonna be me.
Please send them to ryan.king@motorsport101.com.
Apparently that is being scheduled for the first week in August, but as RJ alludes to, because of the clash with the World Cup that's taking place in North America that summer, it could get a bit sketchy as to where they actually host it. We'll have to wait and see. More on that when we get to our season review in a couple of weeks' time. One more IndyCar round to get to. It's the season finale over at Nashville and their super speedway to close it out. A few good fights in there. But still in the points, you've got Dixon versus Lundgaard for third overall. The bottom end of the top 10 is close as well. So a couple of interesting dices that still need to be settled. Can Alex Palou be only the fourth man to ever win 9 IndyCar races in a season? We'll have to wait and see. And, all over but the shouting, all of that good stuff. And if you do see Dave Portnoy at the event, please throw a slice of pizza at him. I will put a $100 bounty for anyone who can do it. I'm not
Don't
even
waste any
not
good
just a
pizza on
slice.
it. Get some of that Sbarro pizza.
extra sauce.
No one's gonna miss it.
Make sure it's right out of the oven, just in case he gets third-degree burns. I've been Dre Harrison. They've been Cameron Buckley and RJ O'Connor. We'll see you for the IndyCar season finale next week from Nashville. Thank you very much for listening. Sayonara.
Later, y'all.
I want to take the opportunity to say we love IndyCar. Yeah, we love IndyCar. Yeah, I know, we love IndyCar.
David, okay, you've been in the can one too many times, man. Let's go get you to bed, son.
And one more note before we go. It's been 10 years. We miss you, Justin Wilson.
We miss you, big man.